This is the 2024 Ram 1500 TRX, and this is the last call. Yes, you heard that right. This is the last year that Ram will be making the TRX. So if you're interested in getting one, make sure you get it this year before they're all gone and all sold out. So with that out of the way, let's get into an in-depth review and walk around of the 2024 Ram TRX. As usual, we're going to talk about the engine, horsepower, and torque. This 24 TRX has a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 HEMI SRT. It is an 8-speed automatic transmission. It produces 702 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. It does 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, which is about 0.5 seconds less than what Ram claims it does. Beyond that, let's talk about some structural features. It has an electronic full-time 4-wheel drive only transfer case. It comes with high-performance brakes, a 3.55 rear axle ratio. It has an electronic locking rear axle, front and rear active performance shock absorbers, and adaptive dampening. The TRX has about 13 inches of suspension travel, so this thing is perfect for off-roading, rock crawling, blasting through the sand, or anything in between. With the specifications out of the way, let's walk around the outside of this beautiful truck. We'll touch up on the front, along the side, and to the rear, and then we'll end up inside and talk about what it feels like to daily drive. Starting off at the front here, we have an extremely aggressive front end. I mean, just look at this thing. Looking at these headlights here, they're sort of a thinner profile, but give this sort of aggressive look to them with the DRLs running along the top and along the bottom here. We have this really nice aggressive front grille going on, completely blacked out plastic with a bit of the orange dipping in here along the sides. Down below here, we have some tow recovery points. We also have sensors throughout there and along both sides. Coming up top here, we have this very nice hood scoop with some black decals along the top spelling out TRX. This is to reduce glare from the sun from going into your eyes while driving, especially when off-roading. As you can see, we have the Supercharged logo right there. Coming along the side here, we have an extremely aggressive side profile. We have wide arches here to allow for that extra travel. We have this sturdy body line going straight across the back here with a dip in the metal. We have these massive tires on them. Our 325/65 18s. We have these really nice looking rims, very solid. Getting a closer look along the side, we have this two-tone paint situation going on here, with the top being in that harvest color with the bottom being in this black color. Coming along to the back, you can actually see the hips on this truck are quite magnificent. And under here, you can actually see these active suspension situation going on. Bilstein makes those, which is always good to know. Coming along the back here, we have these nice taillights with a bit of black plastic here to add to that aggressive look. Of course, we have TRX branding right here, as well as on the side there. Just look at this rear end real quick. Now, if you've never really experienced a TRX or a regular Ram, looking at this might just seem like a regular Ram, but that is not the case, if you actually come to the side a bit, you can see the metal dip down along the Ram logo. We have this rear camera that I mentioned before. And here is the rear. This is the truck bed with some adjustable anchor points along the side there. And of course, port for your trailer. Now that we've done the outside, let's dive onto the inside and check out what makes the TRX interior so special. All right. We have this very nice, almost microfiber cloth material coming along the side of the door. We have some nice cloth slash carbon fiber-esque material and the carbon fiber design throughout the top. We have metal all throughout this little section, as well as the door handles. We have leather on the common touch points, which is always nice to see. We have Harman Kardon speakers in the rear as well as in the front. Now, actually diving onto the interior, we have a nice little storage box along the back passenger and driver side of the truck. Using the step here, let's hop up in. And you'll notice on the back here, we have leather material all throughout with this cloth throughout here and leather back up here. The seats are also leather. They're this nice perforated leather where you would sit and as well as where your back rests. We have leather on the head parts as well. Of course, we can pop this down and get a nice little rear storage area down here as well and cup holders. We have two additional cup holders here. We have two USB-Cs, two USB-A, a 115 volt, 400 watt power supply. We also have heated and ventilated seats on both here and over here. Above us is a panoramic roof, which is always nice to see, especially in a higher trim. We also have speakers here and speakers here. Let's hop out of the rear and jump into the front. Actually, I did want to mention this door sill here. All right, let's transition to the front seat and talk about everything going on in the cockpit. All right, so sitting in the interior, we are going to do this in a split format. So the first part of the interior will be talking about the materials used, the comfortability, the adjustments, and basic technology. The second half of the interior will be about the digital gauge cluster and the touchscreen and all the features that are integrated in those two units, as well as the buttons around this area. So just like with the rest of the video, there will be timestamps down below. So if you're interested in one half of this segment more than the other, make sure to look down there and you can click towards the part you want to be in. But for now, let's get started with the materials. So just like in the rear, we're going to start off with the door. So on the door, there is the same cloth material throughout here. It's a very soft touch point. Just up above is leather all throughout here with this nice stitching going across. Down here, we have our carbon fiber material, and then we have this metal strip going all around this segment with more cloth in here. We also have a metal door handle, and then we have our two memory seat positioning, and then our Harman Kardon speaker up here, as well as down below. We have plastic all throughout the door controls with powered mirrors. Coming to the steering wheel, we have leather on the sides with the same cloth material on top and on bottom as on the door. We also have the same carbon fiber material here, and then of course leather throughout here and throughout here. We have metal looping around the buttons and the horn, and we have our Ram logo that is blacked out. Up top here, we also have more leather with the same stitching. We have carbon fiber throughout here with metal and leather. Same on this side. We have more carbon fiber up here. We have more metal through here, more of the cloth material, and of course, leather across the dash. We have more carbon fiber on this storage area here with the TRX logo in metal. The seats are also made with leather, and they have the TRX stitching up here and more of that stitching throughout there. These seats are very comfortable and very bolstered both on the legs and on the sides, and the seating area for your legs and your back is perforated. We also have soft material here, again, just like on the door. We have more of that soft material here with the TRX Final Edition badge that shows the Ram logo, TRX logo. It shows the engine type, Final Edition lettering, and then the build number, which is 3618. Coming down to this center area, we have a real shifter knob, which is not all that common anymore. In Rams in particular, they have the dial, so this is nice to have. We have more leather down here with that same stitching in the boot area, metal all along here, and plastic in these center pieces. We have more carbon fiber on this cover here, which accesses these cup holders. Coming down here, we have this plastic / rubber material throughout the wireless charger with a little slot to charge your phone. We have USB Type-C and USB Type-A with an aux port, as well as a little storage area. Leather all throughout the sides here, plastic down below. I forgot to show this on this door, but we do have cup holders down here, a storage area in here, and storage areas on the side. Up on the roof, it is another cloth material, though this one is more rough and is not quite as soft and luxury feeling. We have plastic up throughout here as well, with a little bit of metal coming up through here, and a sunglasses holder. The button is metal. All of these switches are also plastic. While we're up here, we have the ability to lower the lift gate. We have sunroof control, tilting, sunshade, and then the rear window. Coming back down here, we have gloss black throughout the touchscreen borders, and gloss black on these buttons throughout there. Gloss black here, or sorry, I've been saying gloss black. It's actually piano black all throughout here and down here. This is also piano black here. Up on these grab handles, they are made out of plastic, but they have a leather handle there with that same stitching going across, just like the rest of the truck. So with that out of the way, we're going to move into the digital gauge, the touchscreen, these buttons down here, here, and all of the performance options that come with this truck. Okay, we got her started up. So now let's dive straight in to the digital gauge cluster, and then we'll move over towards the touchscreen and all of the buttons associated with it. So when you're looking at the digital gauge cluster for the first time, this is likely what you're going to see. You're going to see your typical analog RPM and miles per hour. And then in the middle, we'll have a ticker for the miles per hour. Now, just like with pretty much any other Ram or really any other vehicle, you're going to have options. So we can cycle through to see a digital version of the speedometer. You can see a sport view, which shows which gear you're in, as well as the G-force. And then you're going to have the Baja view, which shows oil pressure and tire pressure. And then you're going to go back to the regular. We can go down one to see driver info about the driver assistant, but we don't have adaptive cruise or lane sensing on right now. So we'll go down again to vehicle info, which shows fuel economy. It shows different gauges, which involves the coolant temp, transmission temperature, intake, coolant temp, air to fuel ratio, boost pressure, engine power, engine torque. We have oil life, oil temperature, oil pressure, battery voltage, tire pressure, the drive mode, and engine hours. Cycling down even more, we have our performance options with the top speed. We have speed timers, drag timers, braking distance, G-forces, lap timer, and lap history. Going down one more, we have trip A and trip B. Going down again, we have our maps right here, which will show us step-by-step guides on where to turn, where to go, etc. Coming down, we have our off-road map, which shows drivetrain, wheel articulation, and steering angle. And here's another view for angles. We have our trailer menu, which shows distance, trailer brake, and trailer tire pressure. We have an audio section, messages, and then settings for your heads-up display, screen setup, and speed warnings. And then finally, you have a diagnostic screen so you can see any codes. And that is the digital gauge cluster. Now, it's important to note everything I showed you, specifically the gauges and the drive mode, because those will come up in a little bit once we talk about the touchscreen. But before we talk about the touchscreen, let's move down here to talk about these buttons. So ignoring the top for now, we have our typical looking controls. We have four-wheel drive auto, we have four-wheel drive high and low, and then we have an axle lock. Now, if you have been driving a regular Ram, you might notice one thing that's off. And I actually mentioned it earlier in this video, which is that there is no two-wheel drive option. This truck is always in four-wheel drive. Now, I had a little hesitation before saying in four-wheel drive, because in four-wheel drive auto, it is going to use the rear wheels, but will automatically kick in the four-wheel drive when it's needed. But there's no specific two-wheel drive only option. So moving past that, like I said, the four-wheel drive auto, high, low, and axle lock. We have hill descent control and traction control. And then over here, we have a launch button. Now, I'm not going to use the launch button. And the reason I'm not going to use the launch button is because this is a dealership truck. So I don't want to do any unnecessary wear to the engine or transmission, or really take the customer's first launch from them. I want them to experience that. So we're not going to hit that button, but just know it is there. And I'm sure there are videos online where you could watch it. Now, moving up here, we have the TRX button and the mode buttons. When you hit the TRX button, you're going to see something like this. It will bring you to the drive mode screen. Now, it should by default select custom, because that's what the TRX button is for. It's for your custom drive mode, so you can always access it. But before we get to that, let's talk about the drive modes that you can also select by doing this, but you can also select by going in here. So the drive modes are sport, tow, snow, auto, and then mud / sand, rock, and Baja, and then of course the custom mode. The sport mode, as you can see, turns sport on literally everything. Each mode does different things to the transmission and the paddle shifters, stability control, suspension, and steering. so you can just quickly see what they all do. That one's going to make me enter four-wheel drive low, which we're not going to do. So that's what those all do. And then if you hit custom, you can hit setup, and then you can change how the transmission performs. And we can just do that and, whatever it may be, up to your liking. And you can also do this for individual drive modes too. But the custom mode, as I said, can be activated by hitting that button. So just know that. All right, let's move back away from here for a second and move down here to the less interesting part, which is trailer brake, trailer steering. We have 4 auxiliary buttons, 2 buttons for the sensors, one for the front, one for the rear. One for the front, one for the rear. And then we have 4 auxiliary buttons, and then we have 2 sensor buttons, one for the front, one for the rear. All right, boring stuff out of the way. Let's move back up to the touchscreen. So in the touchscreen, you're going to see this sort of dashboard or homepage. Now, this is customizable, but this is very similar to a 1500 Laramie and trims above that. So we're not really going to touch on that all that much, but to quickly talk about it, you can add different widgets that allow you to do different things on the home screen, and you can edit both widget pages. And it just gives you quick access to like the maps or your radio. We have media controls, again, just like every other Ram. We have comfort controls, so you can do your heat and ventilated seats and heated steering wheel, as well as your AC and heat controls. You can also access them on the side here, though the seats and the steering wheel are only accessible by the touchscreen. Moving on, we have the navigation, which is just a big map. We have the phone, and then we have the vehicle. Now, this is the interesting part. Before I get to this, I will quickly say that this truck does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. All right, we're on the dashboard here, and we have 4 different options. We have performance pages and race options, and then below that we have the drive modes, which we talked about, and the trailer tow pages. Going to the performance pages, we have a few different options here and a lot of information. To break it down simply and quickly is under timers, we have our drag. So it shows recent, last, and best. So it's your recent attempt, your last attempt, and your best attempt. Below that, we have acceleration and braking. Same goes for there, and we have different measurements that it measures. And then you can take a snapshot of that as well. Under gauges, we have the same things that we saw over here, which is coolant temp, oil pressure, transmission temperature, battery, intake air temperature, air fuel ratio, coolant, and boost. So if you have something else going on over here, it might be helpful to have them over here. We have a integrated dyno report. So for your RPMs and your power, your torque, as well as a different diagram here. We also have our G-force, so it shows the front, rear, left, and right peak, as well as your pitch and your roll. And then we have vehicle dynamics, which is steering angle, transfer case, and the axle locker. On all of these, you can snapshot, by the way. Moving out of performance pages, we have race options, which involves launch control. We can change the engine holding RPM. We have our shift light, and then we have our race cooldown. Moving out of that into trailer tow pages, we have different options for doing that. I apologize. Let's go back to that. All these different options. Under controls, we have mirror dimmer and vehicle cameras, which I'm going to quickly touch upon. We have 9 different cameras. We have a surround camera, left and right mirrors, top and front, top and rear, front cross path, rear cross path, forward facing, and rear. These all do different things. So the surround is up here and it gives you our rear view. We can switch that to show the rear cross path, the front cross path, the front view, a closer front view, a closer rear view, and a closer front view. This one is best used when off-roading. And then we have our first and second auxiliary camera views. And then you have a separate menu for that if you'd like, and you can rename them, which is always nice. So that is the touchscreen. There's obviously a lot more to it. You can access your settings, change all of that. You have an app drawer, so if you want to change the way everything's done, if you have favorites, you can search through everything manually that way. But that's just like every other RAM, so I don't feel like we need to cover it for a special truck like this one, which is the TRX. If you're viewing this video, you're here for a certain reason, which is those performance options and perhaps the luxury of the interior. All right, so that was the interior of the 2024 Ram TRX Last Edition. So we're gonna step outside the truck. I'm gonna do my All right, so we're gonna step outside the truck and we'll do the outro, and then All right, so that was the interior of the 2024 Ram TRX. Additionally, we have a heads-up display which demonstrates the miles per hour you're going and the speed limit. And then over here we have a digital mirror which you can adjust the brightness on and the angle. And then we have a panoramic roof. All right, so that was the 2024 Ram TRX Last Edition. We're going to hop outside this truck, we'll do the outro, and then we'll wrap the video up. So I'll see you guys outside. All right, so that was the 2024 Ram TRX. This is on sale right now. I'll have the price up here. If you're interested in buying the 2024 Ram 1500 TRX, make sure you visit cdjrberry.com. That is cdjrberry.com. We have this listed on our site with more in-depth photos available, and of course this video to reference. I hope you all enjoyed this walk around of the 2024 Ram TRX. If you're interested in more content like this, make sure you let us know in the comments. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about this vehicle or about this video, make sure to let us know down below. If you're interested in seeing more Ram, Dodge, Jeep, and Chrysler videos, make sure you subscribe to this channel and leave a like on this video. But for now, I hope you all enjoyed this and have a wonderful and excellent day.